God will burden you at the most unexpected times, in the most unexpected ways, at the most unexpected places. And I know this. In fact, because right now I'm standing in a field just on the east side of FedEx Forum. And the reason I know that God will burden you in some unexpected places is because it was right here in 2011, walking across this field to that parking lot, where God began to deal with me about starting a church in Memphis that looked like the city, that was for the city, that was in the city. I had no desire to start a church. I hadn't thought about starting a church. Gotta be honest, kind of didn't want to start a church if you would have pinned me at the time. But I felt this burden that I could not shake, and it started right here, walking out of a Grizzlies game. Unexpected places, unexpected times, but unshakable burdens. That's what started for me right here. And for the last several years, we have been leading this thing called believing, and we're gonna continue leading it forward. But you know what's really interesting? Is since that moment, right here in this field, I never felt another burden like that. Never got wrapped up with a need, wrapped up with something God was saying we must do until 2 years ago. And so what I want to do today is I want to take you on a journey and help show you something that you and I can do if we will step into a burden. So it was about 2 years ago that I get a call from someone in our church. And she lets me know about a friend of hers who's a single mom who was in this very dire place. She had been living somewhere for about 18 months and now couldn't live there anymore. And her 5 kids were literally homeless, bouncing from couch to couch, living in their car and trying to figure out how to get in somewhere. But it was so hard for her because the deposit or the cost or the quality of spaces, and it was nuts. And so I get a call saying, hey, do you think there's any way the church can help? And yes, we'll do what we can. And so they text me an address about a place that they had found. And as soon as I saw where it was, I was like, I know that, because it's literally 2 minutes from where I grew up. I grew up right here at 3719 Tullahoma. You see it right there? You see the little 3719? That is my house. They've done a good job with it. They painted that sucker. But that is where I grew up. And 2 minutes from there is where this address was. And I want to take you there right now. So I met my friend and this mom and her beautiful children right here. We meet at this property, and she's already had the chance to look at it with the gentleman who owns the property. She's already had the chance to be able to walk through it. They've given her some information, and they had called me while I was on the way over here to tell me what they had been told. Well, I get over here and I meet with this gentleman, and he starts telling me stuff, but what he's telling me is different than what he told them. And it's like, yo, man, I was born in today, but it was not today. You know what I'm saying? Like what is going on here? And they start to tell me the price, and I start to look around, and the place that we were walking through had this smell. And it wasn't necessarily bad, it was just stagnant. It was that ain't nobody lived here in a long time smell, right? And he tries to tell me that somebody just moved out a few weeks ago, but I know that smell, and it's like, nah, man, like this has been sitting for a while, and yet what is going on? And so I'm letting them sort of talk, and I came outside, and my attention went to this house right here. Now, 2 years ago, this house was actually vacant. 2 years ago, this house was actually for sale. I pulled it up. It was just there on realtor.com because I wanted to figure out what would this cost if you bought it. And that property was for sale with another property in one listing, and they were selling both of them, and they were duplexes, 2 units each, so 4 living spaces, and you could get a living space basically for $10,000. And that made me mad because they had told this mom that she was going to need to pay like $950 a month to live in a building that smelled like nobody had lived in it for months, if not a year or two. And they were going to charge her almost $1,000 a month to live in a space that you could buy for 10. What? This ain't right. But yet this is what it was. And so we ended up deciding this is not going to be the best situation for her. My friend was able to find a much better spot for her family in an apartment building that we were able to get them set up in. And that all got handled, like many needs do that come our way. But this one was different. For some reason, it hit me. It grabbed me. It stuck with me, and I couldn't shake it. I'd be up late at night looking at properties and finding out that there were a lot of properties that were very, very affordable. And it's like you could invest some money in them, make them a little bit better, make them quality for people, and then serve people who were in need with these places. Like, is there something we could do? And I couldn't shake it. I got reminded of Nehemiah in the scriptures. Some of you are familiar with his story, but in the book of Nehemiah, he is a cupbearer to the king. He is just working his job. And then his brothers come to him from their hometown, and they let him know about what's going on in hometown, like you would do. But when they let him know what's going on, it breaks his heart. In fact, Nehemiah chapter 2 lets us know that Nehemiah spent probably 4 months or more wrestling with this, praying and saying, God, what do you want me to do with this? And God, what's going on? And God, we got to do something. And to be honest, that's the way I felt. I spent the next little while trying to wrestle and pray and write and go, God, why can't I shake this? And maybe I can't shake this because there's something you want us to do with it. So I knew that we had to do something, but to be honest, I didn't know what to do. So after thinking about it, praying about it for months, I started talking to people. I talked to my wife. I started talking to a few close friends and started to reach out to a few people in the city that I knew who led nonprofits. Friends over at Innovate Memphis, friends with the Momentum Partners, people that had run Caritas Village, and many, many others, and just sort of having a coffee with them and saying, this is what's in my heart. Like, am I crazy? And we'd sort of process it together. And after many, many meetings, many, many conversations, I got referred to an opportunity that actually took place right here at the Assisi Foundation. And it's this incredible seminar that they offer to nonprofit leaders called Before You Ask. And for 16 weeks, I came here once a week, sat in about a 3.5-hour class with nonprofit leaders from all over the city. What happened here really shaped me because it built something in me. You know, it's one thing when you sit down with your friend, you sit down with your wife and you tell them something that's on your heart. They love you. They're going to be like, yeah, that sounds awesome. It's a whole nother thing when you're sitting at a table with complete strangers and you start to share what's on your heart. And then you find they want to talk to you in a parking lot for an hour after it's done because what you said you're interested in doing clicked on the inside of them. And they're like, hey, I would want to be a part of that. When are y'all doing that? And I'm like, we're not doing anything. I'm just trying to figure some stuff out. I got this burden and I don't know what to do. But what happened here shaped me. Because I began to realize that what God had laid on my heart was something that was inside of the heart of a lot of people. That this burden that he had put within me was something that really resonated with a lot of people. Since we started believing, I knew that that name was about way more than just a church. God has called us to believe in this city, to believe in people, to believe that there are solutions to problems that people said would always be problems, that there are answers to questions that people said would always be questions, that we were going to be people who wouldn't run from problems, but would run towards them, who would be a part of the solution. And can I tell you, I believe that a lot of that starts right here, right now for us. I believe God has called us to believe that a housing issue for single moms in this city who may be struggling, single moms in this city who may not be able to provide affordable housing that's quality for their kids. I believe that God has called us to be able to step into a place that nobody has stepped into and to go make a difference. I know that I have a special place in my heart for single moms. I mean, the most kudos goes out to these single moms who are working so hard to provide stability for their kids, and so many are doing it. Some of you, that's your story, and you're doing it, you're making it happen. But here's what I know is true also. There are thousands of single moms in this city who are working hard, who are doing everything they know to do, and they can't provide stability. It's a constant struggle. It's this goal that they want to achieve, they want to see come to be a reality, but it's like this elusive target that they're never able to hit. And it's hard. And it's hard on them, and it's hard on their kids. Do you know that 60% of the kids in our city are growing up in single parent homes, which is 3 times the suburban average? The kids that grow up in single parent homes on average move 11 times more than kids who grow up in dual parent homes, which is astonishing to me. And if I could interject a little bit of my own understanding and reality into that statistic, I would actually add to it that most of those moves aren't just for fun. You're not just moving because I want to move over to the other side of town or I want to move to a new apartment. Many of those moves are out of difficulty, out of difficult situations, out of things that popped up, out of maybe even an inability to afford a new rent hike or some little transition in the job that then wrecks everything for the kids. It's difficult out there. I believe single moms need an advocate. They need someone to stand with them, to fight for them. Because 85% of our kids in this city who are growing up in poverty are growing up in homes that are led by single parents. It ain't right, but it ain't changed. It is what it is. Could it be something different? Could it look totally different? Could you and I, could we step in and maybe change the game? Could we evolve it? Could we take a step forward for the good of our city, for the good of single moms, for the good of kids who are growing up in environments that are unstable? They're not unstable because their mom doesn't love them. They're not unstable because they don't have parents that care for them. It's unstable because they never have a place that's consistently able to be their home. What if we helped make it possible? You know what I've learned in this journey? I've learned it from people who know it on the ground. That many of these houses that are affordable, many of these houses that literally are $10,000 and $15,000 are gobbled up by outside investors. People that don't even live in Memphis. People that just see that there's a property for sale for this amount and they may buy 8 of them. They may buy 15 of them and get a better deal on that. And then they rent them many times at $1,000 a month, and they put this burden on a family, put a burden on a single mom, and they put them in there and they do nothing to the property. They don't fix anything. If something breaks, they won't be responsible for it. And these families that live there, these many times single moms that are in there paying way more than they should in rent, are in these spaces that are not good, they're not cared for, they're not affordable because they're owned by somebody who doesn't care. And I've been told by people that work in our city that many times these are the very people who don't pay property taxes. It's like, what are we doing? It is what it is, but it hasn't changed. But what if it could change? What if we could do something to step in and be a blessing to our city? But not just be a blessing to our city, be a blessing to kids. Be a blessing to single moms to help them provide the stable home that they want for their kids. God didn't just put us here to suck air and die. He didn't just put us here to live our little lives and pass from this life to the next. He put us here to make a difference. He put us here to bring heaven to earth. As it is in heaven, so it should be in Memphis. And I believe that's where we come in. I believe it's possible for you and I to be a blessing, for part of the blessing that God wants to bring to this city to come through you and through me. I believe we can do this. I believe that it is possible for us to help kids grow up in stable environments. And I believe for us, that starts right now. Today, I am so excited to announce that we are launching something that we are calling Yellow House. And our mission is very simple. We are going to work to provide quality, affordable housing to single moms. That's it. Why single moms? Because of everything that we've shared. Because we believe that God has positioned us uniquely and strategically to serve single moms. Not only that, because we believe that every kid deserves to grow up in a stable home. I believe that in the core of who I am. And what we want to do is help step in and change the game. What we want to do is help step in and make it possible for moms to be involved in their kids' lives even more. To not have to work 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table, but then be absent from the day-to-day of their kids' lives, but to be able to work and be in their kids' lives because there was a foundation that somebody advocated for them, a foundation that they helped make possible, that they were a part of setting up, that was available for them and for their kids. I believe this is what God has called us to do. Why? Because we got a bunch of houses just sitting around personally we ain't got nothing to do with? No. Because we got a bunch of extra money and we just don't know what to do with the extra money? Also no. Because we're bored and we ain't got nothing else to do, we just kind of hanging out? No. I believe God has called us to do this because he has burdened us and positioned us to do this. I believe that God has called us to do this because his heart has always gone out to kids. His heart has always gone out to those who may have overlooked, those who needed someone to step in and advocate for them. You know, there's a verse that has rocked me to my core in this journey. And it's found in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 27. And I want you to see these words, not just hear these words. So take a look at it. James 1:27 says this: pure and undefiled religion before our God and Father is this, to care for orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. I think for a long time, the church has taken the end of that verse very, very seriously. And we should. We should advocate for following God's way. We should advocate for doing things the way God has said. In fact, next week, I dare you to type next week in the chat. Y'all forgot I was preaching. Y'all thought we were just going on a tour de Memphis. I am preaching. Next week, we are starting a brand new series called Ducks in a Row. And you do not want to miss this because our world has been a mess and a wreck. But baby, I'm going to help you by God's word get your ducks in a row, because there are some things that you are praying about that you don't need to pray about. You need to follow the principle that's already there, because I know that principles are not something to pray about, they're something to follow. Hello, Ducks in a Row starts next week. But we've done a good job of following that end of the verse and forgetting that middle part of the verse, the first part of that challenge. You see, in the day that James would have written this, orphan had a little different meaning than it does when we hear it. An orphan in James's day was anyone who didn't have a father. Let that sink in for a minute. Anyone who didn't have a father. Now, I know you could say, well, that's because they were misogynistic and they didn't believe in the power of women. And yeah, you're right, and that is part of it. But I don't want you to get lost in that and miss the fact of who James was talking about. Orphanages matter, their work matters. But his call here is broader than that. He's saying this is what pure and undefiled religion looks like. You want to know what following Jesus looks like? It looks like this. Look after kids who don't have dads. And look after women who don't have husbands. If I could modernize what James said, that's what he's saying. Look after them. I believe this is the space the church is called to. I believe this is the space that our church is called to look after kids who don't have a dad, to look after women trying to raise kids, lead families, and they have all this weight and pressure on them. I don't know about you, but I, for one, am tired of putting Band-Aids on issues that are way bigger and don't need a Band-Aid. They need something more foundational. They need something more substantial. They need a foundation that they can build their life upon. And every time they go to build, every time they go to celebrate, every time they go to do, they remember that there's a God in heaven who loves them, a God in heaven who gave his life for them, and a God in heaven who has commissioned people to love them in the same way he loved us. And today, we are starting this. That's right. Today, we are starting this. In the middle of a pandemic, we are starting this. You know why? Because even in a pandemic, faith is not canceled. And this step takes a step of faith. Come on, were you with us the last couple of weeks? Even in this season, hope is not canceled. And God has called us to deal hope. In this season, love is not canceled. And what God has commissioned every person that bears his name to do is to go love his people. And that is what we about to do on a whole nother level. Because love isn't canceled. I believe that we're called to invest ourselves specifically here, to provide quality, affordable housing for single moms. And I gotta be honest, I don't feel called to do this once. I feel called to do this until Jesus returns. I feel like this is something that we are starting today, but it's gonna live on way after we're all done sucking air on this planet. I believe it's something that God has called us to do the first one, but that after us, we're gonna partner with organizations, and we're gonna partner with businesses, and we're gonna partner with people that don't even believe in Jesus, but when they look at what the church is doing for people that have been overlooked, for people that need somebody to advocate for them, they go, I got to be a part of this. You know, in my conversations with people over the last year and a half processing all of this, I've had so many people reach out to me and say, hey, once this gets going, you need to talk to this person. Hey, there is resource available to do the thing that you want to do. And here's what I believe personally. If I could just bring you in to what I feel like the Holy Spirit has spoken to me as to how we should do this thing. I believe that we are supposed to do the first one. I believe that we are supposed to set an example as to the fact that this can be done, this will make a difference, and look at how it happened. And so in the future, there are going to be opportunities for partnerships all over the place with what we do through Yellow House. But I believe this first one, believing, it's on us. It's on us to bootstrap. It's on us to pray, to believe, to sacrifice, to care, to give, to make it possible. Can I tell you, we've already got realtors that are involved in it. We've already got construction workers that have said, man, we want to be a part of doing this thing. It's going to be unbelievable, but we are going to be the ones who take the first step. So what can you do? Well, the first thing you can do is very obvious, and I don't mean to discredit it, but you can pray. Can I tell you, this is something that doesn't even make sense to do, but yet we're doing it. It doesn't even make complete and logical, because I can't find anybody who has done this. I wish I could. I've looked, and I can't find anybody that's trying to do this like this. So pray. Pray that we continue to follow the leading of God. Pray that every resource that's needed would be provided. Pray that God opens doors that we didn't even see could happen. Can I say, I got a lot of vision, a lot of dreams when it comes to this, but let's pray that God blows our mind with what he does through us. The second thing you could do is this. I would love for you today to go to our website, believingchurch.com, and right there on the homepage, you will see a new banner for Yellow House. And check it out. There's so many details, so many plans. Some of you care about the nuts and bolts and how this thing is actually going to work, and it's all listed there. I don't believe that was my assignment today. My assignment today was to help bring you on a journey and help you to see what God could do through us and what he will do through us. But yes, there are details and facts, and this is how we're going to pay for it, and this is what's going to go on, and this is how it's going to work. Because what this is it's outreach out of our church, but it's much more than that. It's starting as that, but I believe it will be much more than that in the months and years to come. So check that out, believingchurch.com/Yellow House if you want to go straight there. The third thing you could do is this. You can share this as much as possible. Yes, share this today, but also share this in days and weeks and months to come. Because I am convinced that there are people who need to meet Jesus that are going to meet Jesus through Yellow House. They're going to meet Jesus because they're going to see the love, the compassion, the care that Jesus always operated with, evidenced through people who bear his name. So share it. Share that link, talk it up, invite people in. We need everybody on this journey. This ain't a believing thing. This is a believing thing. It's on the inside of us. We believe this should happen. We believe this must be, and so we move forward. The last thing you could do is this, is you could give. You could give. If you're a regular with us at Believing, you know that we are not a place that pressures people to give. God has blessed us. He has been faithful to us because there are people in our church who faithfully bring their tithes and give their offerings to this place so that ministry can happen in it and through it. And it's out of that actually the first gift to Yellow House is happening. Believing Church is giving the first $5,000 to make this happen. It's already set up in that account. But there's a lot of room to grow and go from there. And this is where we come in. And it doesn't have to be today. It may not be this month, but maybe in the weeks and months to come, God would lay on your heart, hey, I want to help make this possible. Maybe above your regular giving. You want to give to help make this happen. Because what we're going to do is we're going to raise all of the funds for our first house, to purchase it, to renovate it before we ever do the first thing. And then once we've raised the funds, we're going to jump on it. And we're going to connect a family to it. And they're going to be the first family to experience a Yellow House, to live in a Yellow House, to receive quality, affordable housing. And it's going to be unbelievable. And it's going to be because you helped make it happen. And so I would ask you, would you pray about giving to this? You can give anytime online through our giving channel. In fact, if you were to go there today to give, you would see a new designation called Yellow House. And everything given to Yellow House, 100% of it, goes to helping provide houses for single moms and their families. There is no overhead. There is no administrative costs. Believing Church is taking on all of that. Through our team, through our volunteers, we're taking on all of that. And so, I invite you to help make this happen, to create a home for every kid, because this is what God has called us to do. Do not forget the orphan or the widow while they're in their distress. Go serve them. Go love them, because this is true and undefiled religion, worship before our God. Can I pray for you? Can I pray for us and all that is Yellow House? Can I pray for our city before our time together today is done? Let's pray. Jesus, I love you and I thank you that you have called us to do something unique. You've called us to step out on the water. And Father, I pray today that you would provide every resource. You would provide every need. God, you would enable us to do this not once, not 10 times, not 100 times, but so many times we almost lose count. Because there are thousands of families in this city who need this. And God, you've given us a way to help make it possible. Not to make anybody's name great, but to make your name great. To let people know there's a God who loves them, a God who believes in them. And Father, I pray that this goes further and wider than we could ever wrap our minds around. For the honor of your name, in your precious name, we pray these things. And everybody said, amen, amen.